incredible flavours, even better stories. One pour, 10 minutes, Aussie Bourbon Lovers, sharing bourbon with Australia.
What is Maker's Mark 46?
Well, if you know what a Maker's Mark is, delicious tasting bourbon.
Yes.
And then they've taken a barrel of that when it's all ready to go, opened it up, dropped a whole heap of staves. You would probably know the right number.
10?
10 staves in, sealed it back up again, put it in the limestone cave and left it for a bit longer, and then you get this delicious tasting Maker's 46.
Cheers. Oh, good noise for the tinging. Yeah. You're having it on a
nice
ball of ice, and
yes.
I'm having it neat.
The way we like to drink it.
Maker's Mark is a wheated bourbon. Maker's Mark bang on. They love it. They talk a lot about their red winter wheat as the thing that brings the softness to Maker's Mark.
Yeah. It's what I like about Maker's Mark.
So
is that wheated?
The
softer.
Yeah, softness. I think we're allowed to say softness.
I don't know how. We're not professionals.
We're not professionals. We're just drinkers. So the softness you get from the wheat is like a roundness. Oh, I have so many fun things that we could talk about Maker's Mark, and I probably would slightly get some of the facts wrong.
Probably a lot of them, but, you know.
Tell me your favourite Maker's Mark fact.
Favourite Maker's Mark fact is about Margie, who is...
Margie who? Margie Samuels.
Margie Samuels, who was the wife of the original Maker's Mark creator.
Bill,
yeah.
Margie and Bill.
So Margie and Bill, I think that my favourite fact is that when he first started making bourbon, she said for every $1 he puts towards the bourbon, she was allowed to have $1 for like just creative input and care of the farm and what they've done with it, the way she's styled it and painted it black and all that fabulous stuff. But my favourite story is that she wanted to design the labels and she wanted to hand tear every little tiny label. Like you can see around the edge there's that kind of crinkly edge bit. Her original idea was to hand tear every single one of those. He said no. But he kept her idea of that rustic, teared look. And they have this really cool machine that still does that. And then it was her idea to dip the red wax seal on top. And I think it was also her idea to really make it an exclusive bottle of bourbon and up the price. Because back in the day when, bottles were reasonably affordable, she's like, let's make one that costs lots of money. And that was a real big thing back then.
I think it's the 50s,
That's more than one fact.
Yeah, you did a lot there. But
Margie is my favourite fact.
Yeah. And
I love everything she brought to Maker's Mark. And I think that's one of the reasons I fell in love with it.
We have a bottle up on the shelf with her face on it, a Maker's Mark bottle that you dipped at Star Hill Farm in Loretto, Kentucky, where they make Maker's Mark.
Yeah.
We're dead set fangirls and fanboys here, aren't we? We are.
You're a fangirl, Dave.
We are massive fans of Maker's Mark.
I loved drinking Maker's Mark before I went there. So, I knew I'd enjoy it. But I genuinely was blown away with the story and really fell in love with how it's just more than a glass of delicious golden liquid. Like there's just the history and the personal stories and what Margie brought to the Maker's Mark.
So let's assume almost everyone who's listening to this has had Maker's Mark, the normal bottle of Maker's Mark with red wax on it.
Yep.
How is this different in terms of what it tastes like to you?
I feel like when you open a bottle of 46, it's like coming into the kitchen in the morning where they've got lots of freshly buttered toast like that. It's like,
wow,
that's
really?
me. Yeah, it's like
buttery, bready.
Yeah, and like
toastiness. Really? We're not. It's not like we're tasting it side by side or anything. We literally just have a glass of Maker's 46.
It just makes me think of like fresh toast, like just come out of the toaster homemade bread,
Okay.
and you're putting butter on it. And differing from the Maker's Mark, which is a nice, easy drinking. This has probably got a bit more, I don't know, I'd say richer flavours. Like a bit toastier is what I'd say.
So I think about
It's not a real
the
word,
way you think
toastier.
about toastier. Yeah, that's definitely a real word.
Okay.
I think about the way you think about like premium brands for like a mainline consumer product. About before I understood bourbon properly or whatever, I always thought that Maker's 46 might have just been aged longer, or which I suppose it is, but it was smoother because it's smoother or easier drinking, more approachable or more crushable, whatever you want to, the language you want to use for that, because it was just a bit more of whatever the first one had done to it, but because of all the unique stuff the way they do this unique process to get this flavor profile, it's fascinating. The thing for me, and this is like a real, I drink this too much, probably this particular expression too much. Like I love Maker's 46. I love Maker's 46. I love weighted bourbons.
It's my go-to if I just don't know what to drink.
46. So easy.
Yeah.
Because the weededness the fact that it's weeded makes it so smooth. But I've genuinely lost my train of thought there. But the thing that I love about it is that it has this. So it's 10 French oak staves. 46 is the stave number. So the Independent Stave Company gives staves of their staves different numbers, and stave 46 is the number of the profile that Bill Samuels Jr., who's Bill and Margie's son, who's Rob Samuels, who's the current CEO. It's his dad, so it's all a family business.
Yeah,
he's the guy who came up with 46. He went through a whole lot of different staves and combinations and stuff to get to this finishing process to kind of come up with this, what is a finished bourbon. So it's like they do take a bourbon, Maker's Mark.
Yeah, like a genuine bourbon, and then make it a
pop the top,
not genuine bourbon.
Drop in.
Make it better.
Yeah. Pop the top, drop in the 10 French oak staves that have been charred, and they leave it in the limestone cellar. So it's a pretty cool process.
And that's another great thing I love about it, is that he's taken on his dad's business, a very successful, what do you do with a great bourbon that's already a great bourbon? And he's gone, well, I want to leave a legacy, and this is what he's left. He's kind of gone, I'll take my dad's great bourbon, add a bit of flavour, so you can have a different, same thing but different, but great.
A different expression. So the flavour that I get, if you drink a lot of different finished bourbons, you'll start to get the characteristic. When you have Angel's Envy, you get the port coming through.
Yeah.
Hopefully not too much. When I drink this, I get this thing that I get when you walk into a winery, Aussie wineries that do Shiraz and stuff.
Oh.
I get the French oak.
Yep.
Like when you smell a cork from a big Shiraz.
Yep.
And you get that oakiness, the French oakiness, because American oak's different, right? It's that more vanillins and the vanilla-y stuff. I get the cork of a Shiraz, freshly popped Shiraz, or a big Cabernet Sauvignon, or one of those.
Shiraz with toast in the morning.
Shiraz with toast in the morning. That's the flavour. But there's that lovely kind of drinkableness to it as well.
Yeah. It's the finish. I say this about the ones I like. Like, that's how you tell there's bourbon I like, is it has that very smooth finish.
We don't have very much time left, but you said toast in the morning, and I wanted to just share the story of before they started. So when you make whiskey, anyone makes whiskey, they have to go through that process of like making the new make spirit, which is that first process of getting the grain mix right. Yep. Make the new make spirit, then put it in the barrels, and then wait for the barrels to do their thing, and then taste it. And that takes, if it's in the barrels 4 years, this takes ages. This takes ages and ages and ages, and you don't have time to really see the experiments. So what they did was made bread with the different grain mixes. So the way they found out that the right profile for Maker's Mark, the original recipe, was they got red winter wheat, corn, and barley.
Made lots of bread until they found a bread they liked, and then they used that recipe to make their bourbon. Amazing.
And I'm going to get the names wrong, but the who's who of who was tasting the bread with them at the start. There's a Van Winkle in there.
Yeah, lots of great bourbon greats.
A brown in there.
Sample the bread.
Yeah, amazing.
It's amazing.
But I tell you what, if you don't mind Maker's Mark and you're open to opening up your wallet and getting the next one up the shelf, in Australia, super available. Maker's 46.
Oh, so easy to get and so delicious for that next level up bourbon.
And
And so many great stories behind it. That's why I love it.
Unreal. And if you ever get to Loretto in Kentucky or Kentucky at all, make the crazy drive in the middle of nowhere out to Star Hill Farm.
It's beautiful and it's incredible.
And you'll have an amazing day.
You spend the whole day there.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks for listening. Make sure you're connected with us on TikTok, Instagram and YouTube, and stay connected with us by clicking subscribe on your favourite podcast app.